Fratelli the Rugby Podcast. The Italian Rugby Podcast. Fratelli the Rugby Podcast. The Italian Rugby Podcast. The Italian Rugby Podcast. The Italian Rugby Podcast.
Welcome to a new episode. Punished by this England team. Mike, buonasera a te. Welcome everyone in this new episode of Fratelli the Rugby Podcast. Of course, tonight it's a little bit sad if we have to think about the game, but here we go. We were not able to prepare the preview of this game, Mike, because you were traveling around. You met some Fratelli di Rugby around, so now let's say our friend Neil says the double check. Otto in the Olimpico, Mike home, so perfect. Yeah. But how are you, Mike?
Yeah, no, I'm good, mate. I'm good. Yeah, it was nice to visit Sweden. Never been before. Nice to visit, one of our fans across the pond who's very vocal as well and passionate about Italian rugby, and had Swedish meatballs for the first time as well, mate. I mean, they're not as good as my mum's.
Hey, the good one, like the original one, not the IKEA one.
Yeah. No, like the original ones. And like I said, they're good. I'm joking, they were great. But yeah, mate. Great week, and it was nice to be out and in the sun yesterday, considering it was meant to be shitty weather, to be honest.
Right, because you were at Twickenham yesterday, so it was a really springy weather, summer weather for UK, maybe.
Mate, like whatever it was, more of it, and yeah, like it's one of those where there's a saying that twice a day, like even a stopped clock is right. Once in a blue moon we'll get weather like that, and it was just perfect. Like, it was just beautiful. So yeah, man, really enjoyed it. So hopefully we get more of that soon.
Nice. So Mike, it's been a tough game. You've been there during the press conference too at the end of the game, that actually I did not watch, I have to be honest with you, but still, your first reaction from the stadium for you, and what was for you also. So I'm gonna add a little bit more. One of the key moments in the match for you, for England or for Italy, let's say, but whatever, one of those moments. But your first reaction, I know sometimes changes, right? The reaction after a little bit. We get wiser usually a little bit after, but still, first reaction of the game, expected something like that, or you were surprised?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I think one thing that I was happy about, and I messaged you as well, was the fact that you could feel the atmosphere in the crowd, that there was a nervous energy at the end of the first half. And
yes,
I said to you, and this is the moment, right? Obviously, you could say at the end of the first half, maybe not taking the 3 and making it 20-21 because it was kickable 3, or you can pick out moments. But for me, it was the attitude coming out the second half. And I said that to you, Otto. I was like, we need to start the second half strong, and you've got the text to prove it, right? Hey, that for me is the game changer. Like, we suffered immediately in the second half, so that was the point of transition. But my general feel, it's a mixed bag, Otto. Like, my friends kept asking me after the game as well, like, what did you make of it? And I'm like, some good, some bad. Like, that's my feel of it. Obviously, I literally have just, as you have as well, finished watching it, and obviously watching it from the TV, you get a little bit more. You see stuff that maybe you don't from 30 meters away. So I managed to see a lot more, and I was really focusing on like what I think went wrong and what I think went right. And I think we've got a lot to discuss in this game, right?
It is, and I was just rechecking the messages. You said, I hope we start well the second half. Nervous energy. You were saying that it's true, actually. And we start properly the first half. For the first 2 minutes and a half until the first penalty in their 22, we start really with power, good speed of the ball after the line out. Probably one of our last line out that worked in the opposite 50s in the second half, because there was was a shame, kind of. 4 in a row we lose, something like that.
Yeah.
And so we start really well. Momentum, good space going in the wide, and then from there Riccioni fell in the breakdown, and from that moment probably we didn't score now, and they came and scored after. That
Was
probably
it 3 minutes, 4 minutes? Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
completely break us up, I think. Like in the motivation that you are saying, we need in the energies, because in that moment you start getting frustrated more than just okay, nothing, we can keep playing. No, because there was already a gap. You do your first effort in that way, and of course work not in the right way. Yeah, I mean, those 2 tries, they completely cut our legs, as we said in Italy, no? Tagliano le gambe. And they were those situations avoidable in a certain way, I can say.
Yeah, it's interesting, like, because obviously for me, like I said, I quite like to be sort of objective, and you've got much better analytical eye than I do, but for me, watching it back, it was clear like we weren't protecting, the rucks. The only point where we actually put pillars on the ruck, columns, whatever you want to call them, right, was when they were kicking, and even then we'd only put one, and it typically be Ruzza, right? But they really exploited that, and that's something clearly that's they did it time and time again. Actually, if you look at the line breaks, it was because we under-resourced the protection at the rucks, and they just were finding like sort of weak shoulders off the rucks, and they're making line breaks, and they scored tries off it as well. So even when they were 5 yards out or 2 yards out or 3 yards out, we still didn't put protection on either side of the ruck, which for me was a little bit disappointing. But these are decisions that the players need to make at the time. So it's one of those. I think it's it was interesting to watch it back.
Mike, I will give you a superpower. You can go back, and you can do some changes in the team. Are you gonna change some players?
I think some players look tired, yes, for sure, because there was 40, let's say the 40, I was 43, 44, 45 minutes up until sort of 50 odd, 55, 56 minutes, let's say 8, 9 minutes, 10 minutes, 12 minutes, whatever it was. There were players which were really tired, and actually there's players that I probably would have substituted earlier. There's a lot of players that have played a lot of rugby, club. Then obviously with the national team, there's lots of players that should have maybe got a little bit of a rest. And I think actually this was probably a bit of a learning curve for Quesada as well. We played France, we were already quite depleted, and then we go and play England.
At Twickenham, yes.
At Twickenham, yeah. Like the amount of fatigue is there, Otto. So for me, I think, if it was me, if you're talking like changing players, I was happy with the selection, and I am happy with the selection. Obviously, I don't think it's necessarily a player that lost us this game. It was, accumulation of mistakes and maybe a discussion amongst the coaches. But for me, I think maybe the management of the game could have been slightly better, if that makes sense. Like, you see players starting to struggle, then in international rugby, you don't want to be like, oh, let's give them 5-10 more minutes and just see. If you see a player starting to dip, that's the point where you want to get fresh legs on, like not already when they've made mistakes. And that's my opinion anyway. So I think it was a learning curve.
It has to be learning more. It's interesting what you said about for Quesada, some notes that you can put for him as a coach, because that is probably one of the points too. And it's important in his campaign because he came from, let's say, an anomaly The first Six Nations after the World Cup is always something different. There is a new atmosphere in the teams. Sometimes changes, or even if these the same players, they are renewing in their refreshing in the style of play, or some coaches changes. So he went in that way. And
Also, they're transitioning away from the old style, which
yes,
they've done for 3 years, right, or 4 years. So they're more comfortable with a
exactly.
style. And
But we
yeah,
were the one that we stick some kind of plan. We saw Varney coming back, starting and using box kick. We box kick a lot in the first half, and we use a lot of deep kicking, but like deep but short, like grabber style. We did a lot of that to try to find some transition, to put pressure on them. Sometimes works, but then in the second half, nothing of that worked, Mike. Nothing of that.
yeah,
Even when we tried to use it, it was a beautiful 50-22 by Capozzo with that kind of kick that he did also last week.
yeah.
A kick like that was interesting to see. It's a new technique. It works. But kicking game didn't work well. What do you think about the 9-10 combo in the... How was
Yeah,
Vardy for you, and how was Garbisi for you, the starting?
yeah. Listen, I'm a big fan of Varney. I think obviously it was a tough ask asking him to not have played, Test rugby for a long time just to get dropped in against, one of the best teams in the world. And I thought actually he did a good job, mate. Like genuinely, I thought, particularly the first half, the tempo that he provided is metronomic. Right, it's just consistent, like the way he
Until
passes.
that penalty that we said in the second half, those
Right,
first 2 minutes, until
yeah,
that moment, probably we saw
yeah, yeah.
move on
So
play.
for me, I and I will never say like a negative word against Varney because I think there's a lot of potential there. What I'll say is he needs game time desperately, and whether that's at Vans, whether that's in Italy, which I hope it is. Man, like how good would it
Maybe
be for the
so.
national team? Genuinely, right? If we're being honest, how good would that be for the national team if Varney, because Varney has for me, he has the highest ceiling out of any of our scrum halves. He just needs game time. He needs development. He needs to be confident, right? So Varney, I was happy to see him. Like I said, it looked like he hadn't played Test rugby for a little while because the drop off at the, like you said, in the second half was quite a lot, and that's fair enough, right? Like there's it's England, and Garbisi looked tired. Garbisi was one of the players where I think he looked very tired. He was poor defensively. He didn't kick particularly well. They were too long. They weren't contestable. We had Gallagher on the wing, which I was surprised that we weren't trying to utilize him in the air more than we did. And I think that was partly because obviously he's left-footed and it couldn't risk it. So for me, I just think he needs a rest, mate. He needs a rest. I think hopefully we see Alan start. I think just to give him some time, right? Next week.
Okay,
That's
interesting.
my view, anyway.
I agree on Varney. I think despite the first error in the first half, when the turnover bring to, if I want to be mean, I would say the try, it's for Varney's fault, but there are a
Well,
lot of
knock on, yeah.
phases moving between that penalty, that turnover until the try. So there is more to analyze there, but was a consistent game, I think. Pagelo did what he did his job, but still the time that you have for you and the energies of the team are different. So of course you don't see him shining. But I agree with you. Yeah, Garbisi started well because it was fresh at the beginning of the game, but then a little bit of energies burnout. I read Federico in the chat
Yeah,
saying,
perfect. Yeah, perfect word for it.
kind of really stank or really tired, really
Yeah.
stank. So on that, he kicked well. For the first kick for Brex, for example, and then a couple of penalties. Others not that good. But Mike, I like also the idea to give him a rest for the last game and to play with a 10 like Alan could work.
You know what? I kind of want to see Garbisi play against tied legs, like he did in his opening game against Ireland back in 2020 when he was youngster. He came on and threw that ridiculous dummy and sent Stockdale to the shop whilst he walked in under the post. Like I'd like to see what he can do like that. Like I know he's a test level or a traditional test level fly half, right? Traditional. Lets other players do it. We need, and this is something where I think maybe at Benetton we see it more. We need a fly half that can make stuff happen, right? And he could be that guy. He's intelligent enough to be that guy. But if you look at Albornoz, he's just maverick. You look at Umaga when he's playing well, he's maverick. And if Benetton are winning or if Benetton are doing well, a lot of what happens comes through the creative 10. And we need him to be more creative instead of structured. And that's my opinion. Just looking at it, I think it looks like we lack that creative sort of spark in attack, and that's because we're playing, very structured, very shape heavy. And I think maybe he needs to be, that catalyst just to do that little bit more.
So you inspire another question. Who's the flairiest 10 that we have? Pick also the former under 20s, other players.
Darre for me is different though to Marin. Marin is someone who will run the ball. Darre is someone who will take. This is like the Crowley Prendergast type conversation, right? Like
we need our friends for that. There was a popcorn situation the other day.
yeah, bless him, right? But it is, isn't it? Like, we know Darre can take it to the line, and taking it to the line and having Menoncello off him at 12 or Vincent on the other side, man, we will make yards. He's brave, right? Like he doesn't mind getting hit. But then also, if you do that at test rugby level, you're not going to be on the pitch very long. So there's a trade-off, right, between the two.
I'm keep talking about players that play this game, so we can go through some other areas of the game.
Yeah.
And I would like to pick because we were talking about Garbisi in a situation in one try from there is the second replay. I think it's from with the spider cam. You can see where is he until he reached the other side, how far it was on the other side. We don't see really well Cabozzo, but we have a couple of issues we had in the first two tries with positioning of the back 3, back 4, because sometimes it's 10, 15, 14, 11.
Mm-hmm.
We had issues there.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean for the crossfield kick for Freeman's try, where he's running. He runs from.
And it's so easy the way they move there.
Yeah.
They found an easy space with Capozzo really deep, with Ioane really deep too. That surprised me because usually their Capozzo push a lot up and close the space. But in that situation, he was really behind. So then there's the double tackle and they keep playing. So those situations, Mike, what do you think of those back 3? And I had another thing. Ioane played all the game on his right, on the right wing. They never switch. Gallagher can play also on the other side. You think how you see these 3 players and those first 2 situations that brought us to concede 2 tries?
Yeah, I think obviously, like you said, there was definitely like some positional issues, but also I think for me that's where I know the exact try you're on about, because I was thinking, why were we overloading on the right wing where the ball was obviously clearly going to be getting shipped out? Sorry, our right wing, where obviously they were going to attack their right wing, right, for the corner. Because if that is the case, right, like I would love to have seen a sweeper in the back as well, because the sweeper could have stayed and literally just transition. So to answer your question, I think the pendulum didn't work particularly well. I think there was probably maybe you can't just
You
drop
had-
people in at test level, right? So there's
You
probably
had you mentioned before let's say before we start the podcast,
yeah.
to me something that I suggest during the game in the Italian chat. It was talking about why we don't put a sweeper style. So who can be our sweeper on the second line of defense? Because the first one is the line of defense, the second one can be the one in the middle, the third line is the back three. So
Yeah,
that player is Varney, probably the
yeah,
nine
for sure.
can do that
And
game.
MP, like their unique selling points is their kicking Otto. Like they are both very talented kickers. Like
Yeah,
out of hand,
daily kick was really good there.
right? Like out of hand, they are both very, very good kickers, right? Like and I just feel like, for me anyway, if because we suffer in transition and we suffer with an offload, they offloaded against us 11 times, right? We offloaded 3 times and we scored off one of them, right? So like that clearly, right, we need an extra layer or we need someone. And if it's someone who's going to be joining the defensive line on, you know, the inside of the center, so you've got Menoncello, you've got Brex, you've got the winger, and then you're putting the 9 on whichever side that you think we're going to attack, then a simple chip or a simple offload, right, there's no one there, right? So for me, I'd love to see that. I personally would love to see us do something like that. I don't know what the implications would be in attack. Obviously, it probably uses a lot more energy to be a sweeper, but it works for Gibson Park, so why wouldn't it work for us?
That's true. Why not? Mike, about this game, we mentioned before I think somebody in the chat did it too. The pillars, the lack of pillar, the props. Let's say that movement around that second try in the second half, the one that completely we were far there. We didn't see from the island. We didn't see the boat anymore. Like that moment is when they scored that way. We were really slow repositioning around the rack, and in that situation we had a quick Vincent moving, but the second player was Fischetti, for example, and Cannone. They were slow positioning again, because if you think the moment the ball goes to that rack, to the last rack before the pick and go, look where is Itoje and where is Finn Smith, and how fast they reach the second, like the emergency, they need to go there to be fast. And Vincent move on his right, because I'm sure he think, okay, I'm ready.
And I was hoping Fischetti could have come in.
Not my job, the rest of the players to short up there.
Yeah.
So that's
he trusted his inside man, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Which is rule 101 in any defense, is always trust your inside man. That's the issue, right?
Yeah, because you cannot stay on that side, because at the end, one player alone with 2 sides to defense is always harder for the defender. And
that's the exact point I was making with the pillar. And actually, that's one of the examples where they scored off, right? But actually, even if you look at the line break beforehand, right? So just before, I think it was the offload to Smith. I can't remember who offloaded it to him, but Cannone was maybe a yard or 2 yards slightly further out, and he left a gap, and Smith went through, right? You know when I'm talking about, right?
You're talking about the second try.
The second try, yeah. So before that, the phase before that, if you watch, like they just walk through, they just pick it up and walk through. It was like watching the non-contestable Tom Curry. Thank you, Federico. It was where he just picks it up and he just walks through. We needed to, the ruck needs work. The ruck needs work. The ruck needs a lot of work at the moment. The contacts area needs a lot of work, but the ruck in particular, we need to find a way of slowing the ball down against these big teams.
About this is an historical point for us.
Yeah, of course.
We always had this kind of in the Italian chat, we were talking about what Andrew said about intensity. It's not like physicality, it's intensity, backing game. We're talking more about that than being big, but being ready, because Vincent is one that is always ready and is not that big if you think other players. Of course,
Brave,
kilos
isn't he?
helps every time. Willis, having a Tom Willis angry AF like him helps, of course, but we have to work probably on the intensity of our
Yeah.
work.
Yeah,
That's
for
why
sure.
Carlo Tizzano always there about how much it works, that guy.
Why'd you bring him up, my man? Why?
Man,
Why are you doing that to us?
because we have some tired back rowers. Because there is the issue we saw Lamaro not being so fresh in the last couple of games. It happens to have times in our career that are not the brightest. But the problem is
Also-
that you're a captain, so you're heavy in a team.
Yeah.
We saw Giuliani bringing that intensity, but honestly, Giuliani from the first minute
Yeah, you
never
think
convinced me until now. But can be that a big call for the next game? Maybe.
interesting.
Why not? You have Brex
listen,
anyway.
I think Seb needs a break as well. Seb was sensational. Like Seb was sensational. From where I was sitting and like watching it back, I'm like, how is this man doing what he's doing? Phantom asked a really important question, right? And actually, I've got a couple of theories on that. So Phantom asked, why did the Rucks work better last year? And there's listen, like I never like a unilateral like view and be like, oh, you know, because of this. There's probably loads of different factors. But one thing I wanted to ask you, Otto, is how much do you think the Champions Cup, because obviously, let's be honest, it's a much higher standard than the URC in terms of like step up. How much do you think that's fatigued the players, or like maybe a players like having a niggle and stuff? Like, how much do you think that's impacted this particular season? Because obviously, we've never been in a position, at least in recent years, to play in the Champions Cup, and the vast majority of our players come from Benetton. So, I just wanted to ask your opinion on that.
Of course, there is energy, and also mental energy that take energy from you. So that is different. We can think maybe that our players are not used to that highest level, which is the Champions Cup. So you suffer more during the midweek. All the preparation is different because the club preparation has different goals than the national team preparation. About peaks, they work together, club and national team. So probably there is something shared. But I also think on the other side that some of them they were really well kept during the season. I think about Brex, think about many games Menoncello didn't play, Lamaro and Roots are the same, but sometimes you are not that non sei così performante, you're not performing that good as you desired. So probably there is something, and there is also the opponent. The opponent team show us why they are so strong. England showed that to us no matter what. France did the same last week. Scotland did the same, but we're talking top 5, and I'm in a certain way I'm top 5, top 6, whatever they are, okay, but just in general, because I don't know actually the ranking. But it's that, Mike. They were better. They try to slow us down. They try to work different. We have actually also a breakdown coach, contact area coach, which is Fernandez. But also we have those kind of players to play. So what I'm thinking, because we already heard a lot about defensive coach out, breakdown coach out, Quesada out, whatever out. No, I mean, doesn't work like that, in my opinion.
No,
I
you know
that
my feelings.
a coach, we have to try to keep it for the years that he signed with us, because we need a fucking cycle of 4 years with one, and then think about, okay, in 4 years we're gonna think we have a project of players that work really well, which are the one that already been part of the World Cup, or they should have been there. Menoncello is one of them. Okay. And then we have a group of players that they are shining more. They are showing their progress now this season more than the other one. Talking about the Zebra players, that I think from this summer, you have to try the summer, September, and November, and then next year when we play our World Cup, our Six Nation, saying, okay, you coming, this year is the year when I'm gonna try players. So you need the other one to keep going, so they can do the switch, but you're gonna have 2 weeks two big window to do this switch, and it's gonna be interesting and fun to watch.
For sure. And I think, just to echo your point as well, people who are asking for like our coaches to be like changed and sacked and this and that, frankly, like I don't see the value in that. Like, if we keep doing the same thing that we've done for the last 25 years, we're going to find ourselves in the same place. So sometimes, you take the good and you take the bad, right? How many of us wanted Kieran to have another crack, another 3 years, another 4 years? We got Quesada, and Quesada looks like an extremely talented coach. And now we have to back Quesada, and now we have to back Hodges, and now we have to back Fernandez, and now we have to back whoever the hell becomes our coach. Because if we start saying at every obstacle, oh, someone needs to go out, we're going to be in a position where we're going to transition coaches every single week. So let's give them time. Let's make sure that they're able to influence their team with their philosophy, because it takes time. Marius Goosen was defensive coach for 8 years. Right, it takes time to change the philosophy. It takes time to find something that works. So if anyone else has any sort of ideas as to what can improve, get yourself a coaching qualification and start coaching the team, because I don't want to hear it. That's my opinion on it, and I see it everywhere.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Hodges recorded a breakdown coach is second to none, saying what he did with Cardiff, but Mike, when I see that issue with Fischetti and the other players not folding, is not a fucking Hodges problem.
No, it's
That
not.
is a player that did commit a mistake,
Making a decision.
a decision. I have more issues when I see patterns repeating about why we are so tight in the middle and why we leave so much space in the wide, because that is what really let me think why we are leaving these spaces that all the team they are attacking in that way. So that is one of my issues in general.
That's the question, Otto.
Why with 2-3? I know, but why with sometimes with 2 racks, 3 racks from a ball that we lose where in their opposite 22 almost?
Yeah,
they can organize in that way, because when they score the first try, Mike, we have 4 players, I think 4-3 on the blind side, empty, and all England in motion, giving options.
Yeah. And Otto, I've got an opinion on this. So, do you remember when we spoke 2 weeks ago when we watched Zebra, and we were like, they went down to 13 men, and the players were getting up, and like they were getting up, trying to get in position. They were literally like, they were killing themselves to try and get into position and just get up and go. For me, I think clearly, right, there's a point where conditioning comes in, and I think that is something, and I think Kian mentioned it, but it's something that I was thinking as well. Clearly, we need to have a look at sort of how we're conditioned, because now obviously we want to be a set piece dominant team. We want to be a set piece dominant team, and we have been. So our scrums have been a lot better. So potentially focusing on mass and focusing on strength training instead of focusing on fitness and agility means that we're half a second too slow to get to a ruck, right? And Otto, at this level, you know better than I do. Half a second is night and day than club levels. So that's one. Maybe, and listen, this is all speculation, right? Like, it's one of those where
I'm not a specialist about conditioning, but probably there is some kind of issue there too, because they didn't look, honestly, they didn't look fresh. Some of those our players,
yeah,
some other ones, they, no matter what, they carry the shame, like not the shame, let's say, carry the team forward. Seb Negri again, another game where he is involved as a crazy man. Congratulations, Seb, because he's always to say carrier and tackles. We have him up in with the good stuff. We saw good stuff coming from Zuliani, and not that good, like you said at the beginning of, because we saw great stuff for that try for Menoncello, but later on, two players, third player, Chassum, ripped the ball in a tackle.
yeah, twice.
Yeah. What makes me mad about this game also, Mike, is the line out in the second half. What happened with those line out issues, those long ball, no timing, great pressure by
Otto. The timing, Otto. Like one where no one, not even England jumped. No one jumped. Anyway, it was the timing in particular, but Otto, that's question mark for me. That's something that we need to improve massively, and because we haven't seen it that bad in the previous games.
No, let me see a little bit more. How many turnover we concede this game, Mike?
I'm not too sure. I know Menoncello pulled 2 this game, but I don't think honestly, I don't think as many as the France
as
game,
usual,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to answer also this question about why you're not making these errors. Maybe the data, they're gonna tell you different. That maybe the number of errors are the same. Maybe they're gonna tell you that we scored more points. We are scoring an average number of points more than last year.
I think that is true. I think we scored 9 tries last year and we scored 10 this year already. But the problem is, right, last year we may have spent more time attacking. That's what you don't see. So, like, to answer your question, right, you might see less defensive errors because the attack was legacy Kieran Crowley's, because it was transitioning, right? So there was still an element of Kieran Crowley's, maybe slightly more pragmatism with the kick, but now it's a completely different system, because that's what Quesada said in the autumn. He wanted to change the attack. So now maybe we're attacking less because there's more mistakes. So then we defend more. And if we're defending more, there's more chances of us making mistakes. So, and listen, that's just one viewpoint, right? Obviously, I'm not saying that is the thing. I'm saying if you look at it and just say, oh, okay, well, why is this now and that, not? You're not looking at the big picture. You need to understand every little segment. It's a puzzle piece, right? Where you need to start understanding, okay, so if we're missing this bit, why? Okay, so and performance, defending is like one component of performance, and that's the way you should think about it.
This one of the stuff that went well this week were the dominant tackles, something that we were not able to match the physicality there, and the report say 0
0 dominant tackles.
Yes,
interesting.
Yeah,
the tackle
happened. Turnover conceded 15 in this game. But
I take that back, Otto. I take it back. I didn't realize it was that high. That's bad.
15. So this year 43 all season. Last year they were 58. So we are pretty there. Huh?
Yeah.
Handling errors. Let me see a couple of stuff about handling errors so I can put something more I don't have it there, but I can tell you already that last Six Nation there is on his attack 77. This season, at least this Six Nation, the first 3 games only 26 handling errors. So
working
it's
better.
crazy the balance how change. So you see some stuff went better than other one, but we had a lot more opportunity last year. I think this year, what is so different from last is the way we are trying to push more the conditions, because we play a game against Wales that we never play under that rain like this in the last years in the Six Nation, that you have to put in, and you were able to stay in the game and you were the best team for let's say for the game at the
68
end.
minutes. Yeah.
Even more. Even more than that, because hey, the last minutes defending 13 versus 15, it's something. We're playing well with some other team. 1919, we were drawing there, so we are having less maybe opportunity to score, but we're trying to keep more pushing in defense. That is the issue, but it's a general issue because you lose the games at the end.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean,
it's all connected. That's why for me it's why we clean in some way the racks and why we let the other team doing what they want to do in the breakdown, in the battle area. And then in attack, why we are not so 100% on line out so we can create, because our best probably is stuff coming on our line out, set piece. If you don't have your line out, how are you going to attack? You have to be under pressure again, because you don't have the tempo of the game. In defense, we are not a team that really give tempo of the game defending. Or we can cut with some good juggles. If not, it's really hard for the way we are.
Yeah, you know what I'm really interested in seeing from last year to this year? Our efficiency. Because again, I know we kicked a lot this year. We kicked a lot last year to win games, right? Like we kicked a lot last year. People forget that for posts. But I'd love to know our the amount of entries and stuff we've done, because like I agree with you. I think potentially we're creating more, but we're making mistakes in the wrong areas, like normal. Like usual, I should say, not like normal. Obviously, in an ideal world, we don't make those mistakes like the teams don't make against us. But the difference is, I think we probably entered more this year in terms of like the 22 this year. If I were to look at last year, where we were very close or closer to England, if we look at the amount of opportunities we created in the 22, I think we probably entered a lot more. And this again, this is me fresh and maybe it's recency bias, but we entered the 22 a lot yesterday, like a lot. But we can't convert. Like we make silly mistakes. We overthrow a throwing, or like we knock the ball on, like you said in the first half, or million and one things. But like when we get to 22, it's like we panic. It's like we need a better, more, maybe more. Exeter 2019, sorry, all they did was pick the ball up and run, right? That's all they did. Even if we did that, Otto, I'd be happy, right? I would be happy. If we scored tries, just multi-phase, just up the jumper stuff, like constantly, I'd be so happy. But clearly, like something's not working. We're trying to be too clever. We're overplaying. And actually, to answer your question, Phantom, this is something I thought yesterday at the game. When we're chasing the bonus point, both games, when we were chasing the bonus point, we let ourselves. We put ourselves under pressure when they turn over the ball because we were making mistakes. As soon as we overplay, we're out of position, they're making 30, 40 yards a break. Watch the difference between the point where we have the bonus point in our sights and when we don't. We play two separate ways. And that's part of the issue, in my opinion, that we constantly overplay when we're in a position of scoring a try or scoring a bonus point try.
I was so mad when we started attacking from our 22 in the last 10 minutes. But come on, Said
Yeah, I know.
Twickenham switch. I know
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not. But
Yeah.
Mike, other couple of stats. Let me see. I just put it there. So this season we Tackle made 662. Last season 971. So we in general we tackled more.
More, yeah.
Yeah, tackle missed last season 155. This season, of course, 120. So if we miss 35 tackles next week against England, hopefully not in Rome, we're gonna draw the numbers of tackle missed. Of course, on percentage is higher the number of tackle missed, and probably because we had also more ball in hands, more attacking possession. Actually, I can tell you this, Mike. Attacking minutes last year, total of 83 minutes. This season, 46. Only the first 3 games. So, no, we didn't get much more ball, but we worked maybe better sometimes.
Well, this is what I was saying, Otto. Like, I think we attacked more last year, right? And maybe we weren't attacking necessarily.
I think the France game, Mike. The
Yeah.
France game we attacked already more than this year. We had much more attacking possession against Wales too. Against Wales was all on us. Against Scotland, of course, you won those game on that, but the defense was hard and strong the whole game. Why?
Yeah.
Phantom, tell us. Troppa ansia. Too much anxiety.
I mean, they're professional athletes, mate. So for me, I think we won that game this year against Wales. We won that game on defense. We kicked well and we defended really well. We won that game on defense this year. Right, if we wanted to be honest, because that wasn't an attack. Like, yes, the try was beautiful attacking play. And actually, if we're looking at like the tries from yesterday, in particular, we kicked the ball over. They were slow in transition. We attacked well in transition. Right, the 2 tries that in the first half, kicked the ball over. They were all like slow getting back. We managed to get the ball out, and again, beautiful kick again from Ioanni Capuozzo, lovely try. And then if you look again in transition with Capuozzo, because they were slow coming to the line, disjointed, quick line out from Ioanni. Capuozzo goes, sees a dog leg with Jamie George, cuts through Jamie George. Ross Vincent, being the athlete, that freak athlete that he is, was out sprinting Freeman on the wing. Right. I think someone said it in the chat. Our tries are coming from moments of magic, Otto, but the Wales game, that try from set piece was beautiful. Why aren't we doing more of that, Otto? Okay, Gallagher, you can argue where he knocks it, where he overruns it, and Garbisi gives it as a forward pass. He was through there. That was a beautiful set piece. Maybe that's something that we potentially would be talking about had that come off. But we're not seeing these like set piece plays, or we're not seeing these attacking plays, in my opinion, anyway.
So and so, because we scored, for example, with Menoncello, tries on set piece. Then we scored against Garbisi. We scored again from set piece. So we have this moment, but
that's true.
Why, Mike? In general, why we said this also last week? We're scoring because we want to avoid the breakdown area. Why? How? When you are able to create those 2 quick balls that you need 2 quick balls to set up an attack, or you need a counter attack. We score in a way, we score in the other, or you need a set piece you need a maul, so you need space, or you need a scrum because you need space to attack. That is still going. They're still going.
Yeah, that's what we're. Yeah, I agree, Otto. But I think like again, happy to see us play well in transition. Like that's good. Like because the best teams do it against us, and it's good that we're starting to develop that. But for me, I wouldn't be confident. Literally, if we're camped on the 22 and we're just going to have multi-phase, we're going to just attack. There was a couple of beautiful runs. I think Menoncello took one up, and then I think Negri took another, and there was a couple of phases where there was some nice carries. But in my head, and I was watching this live, I was like, they're going to knock it on second. Like in my head, I just knew because against the bigger teams, against the better teams, we don't do that well. So unless we're going to try and play to our strengths, which is speed, agility, and Vincent again, I think he was brilliant when he got a yard of space, or we pick players that are better in that sort of in that mold, right? And I think that's the point you were making as well with Zuliani. Maybe Lamaro next game gets a rest on the bench, and we see Zuliani maybe run if he can do that against fresh legs instead of tired legs, right?
That's true. Couple of stuff about the Pannone. We are not patient. We have that. We go into panic mode. Some situations.
Yes, very perfect.
And there was, of course, up here a couple of messages about it being good around the field, but of course it's not only him, because as we said, there was well defended by Ruzza and Itoje. Of course, those two they had a really good fight in this. Troppa ansia, we're not patient. This is it maybe a little bit worrying that we're getting beaten badly in the last few games, while Wales, who are in the doldrums and are keeping games close and getting bowling spawned out of them? I think the reasons are different. The three teams that we are facing, the last three teams, they are all running to be champions, and all of them need to put like a statement. One game to save France. They came after losing against Ireland. England, they want to keep fighting. They're home, 30 games won. They keep playing. Now Ireland is hitting Roma. Some tragedy happening in Ireland about losing in this way the game, and with a lot of players at the end of their career. But it's going to be another important point. Scotland, push, and then okay, no problem. Let them play. Kinda. It was so weird, that game, Mike. Scotland Wales. I don't know if you've seen it, but
I did, yeah.
And okay, bonus point, done. We're not gonna lose this game. There's no reason to push more.
It's like they brought Finn off straight away. Like they're protecting for the last game. I think they're expecting a war, which they should be.
That's right. So they think in that way. England is gonna be whatever is gonna be good anyway. Anyway, it's gonna be good the next game.
Like it's for me, it's a really good point that you made. I think actually we're playing teams that have either been hurt or need points. Like, so France, we played France after they lost to England, where it's a game that they should have walked, like with the amount of tries that they dropped. And then
they need point difference too, Mike.
Right, exactly. And then we play England, and England also need points difference to try and like be in title contention. So then, Ireland, right? Ireland are still in it, but guess who they're playing next week? So it's going to be interesting, Otto. And also maybe, mate, we see them overplay, and maybe we can capitalize on that. So that's going to be interesting.
Panic mode, huh?
Maybe. Mate. Like, listen, for me, I think genuinely, for me, and I mean this, like, I believe this to my core. If we came out and scored the first straight after the second half, I reckon England start maybe going, okay, we're going to have to kick our threes now, or maybe like things start playing. We're not going to get punished as much.
Sure, I totally agree with you. There was the game 2 years ago too, that kind of game. Go in the corner. We were not scoring, even if we were really good with possession. In the corner, maul inside.
Yeah. I just think that we, against Ireland, if we can keep it close, if we can keep it uncomfortable, if we can keep them guessing, I think we have a chance. Like, I genuinely like, and this isn't me being like,
Mike, you
romantic.
don't have nothing to lose. What's gonna happen?
Yeah, that. I'm not even being romantic about it. I think France and England have the power game. They reverted to the power game in the second half. We couldn't keep up. Ireland, I think we're closer physically matched to Ireland than England or France, right?
But
Obviously,
not
Ireland
in-
have a beautiful structure.
Yeah, that's the point.
Quesada's going to make it. Quesada's going to have to earn his bread this week, Otto. Like this is the week for him.
Yeah, because the Maleling where they're waiting the moment he's gonna completely fail. And
Jesus, man.
Mike, we are almost wrapping up, but I want to say also this: last year was an anomaly in our trend of growth.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And we know something was clicking in that Six Nation because it's a weird Six Nation. You're gonna attack that Six Nation in a different way with a new enthusiasm, with a new coach and everything, and we did it. But seems like for the majority of the Italian fan that we used to win three games in every fucking season. 2023 seems like we won in 2021 2 games. We have the Garibaldi Trophy every week. We didn't eat so much soup with these wooden spoons. But for me, that is surprising. I think we did the minimum. So win the game against Wales because that is the minimum, still the minimum. You have to fight and you have to find the issues where I can work better next year to win against the other teams because they show us the big team, the power game, what are we lacking now, and let's move forward. But with enthusiasm to look at new players, I'm sure next Six Nation we're gonna see different players too, more involved in it.
And
one name, Favretto, was too late. He came in too late. Nothing to lose. 20 minutes for him, not 10.
He's one of the players when I was talking who needed to come on earlier. I thought he needed to come on 20 minutes earlier. Personally, I thought he should have come on 50 minutes.
Yeah, just to say, because then let's see, there was a good call by Phantom about Stabile maybe next season, because Stabile is not in the team that is going to train for Pumas. Even if he's a Puma, he's not into that team. Maybe it's going to be him. Maybe it's going to be Licata next season. Ecco, Stabile 7 contro l'Irlanda.
Well, I've got an interesting point actually before we go that I'd like to bring up because we haven't spoken about it at all.
Oops.
The under-20s, Otto.
Yes.
How good were they against England?
So in the scrum, surprisingly good.
Surprisingly good.
Yes, because the team didn't show that strength in the other games. I love Pietro Celli, the way he play, our 10 fullback, depending.
He's good, mate.
He's good. He's good. And then
Drago.
Drago is good. No, Drago.
He's good, mate.
I put him months ago in the starting team in the chat. Go check in the chat. I talk about Drago, him being one on the wing.
Mate, he's well built as well for he could be very good for us. I think he could be very, very good. You started talking about next year and you got me excited about the under-20, so we got to talk.
No, because those players, then come on, Faisal.
Yeah, mate, he's flary.
When you have a player that is so good in the air, no matter what, but you throw a ball in the air Fallout style, go pick that ball, fight the ball. He scored at least one. I can tell you because I like this guy, but like 3 tries from catching the ball in the air, like cross kick stuff like
he's
that.
18, right?
Oh,
I think I saw it. I think I saw it.
He's born in April, if I remember well.
Oh, okay. It might be someone else. So it popped up that one of the backs was an 18-year-old. I was like, fair play, like starting them young. But man, our backs, and I said it after the first game in the chat. Our backs are electric this year. Like
he's 2006.
2006. Well, that makes him
11
Yeah. Okay. So just 18 because he's going to turn 19 in April. Yeah, mate, he's good. Like, there's probably a lot of French teams looking at our backs. To be honest, I would be.
and I am also the centers work well. This game,
Yes.
Ducros, you see Ducros playing as he is a center, and
He's better at centre for sure.
yeah. So that was good, but Fasticelli like that work well. Benotto was good at number as a 9, clean, good work.
Yeah.
Then you lose the game because you're not. So, man, every time after kickoff, there was a try. That was a little bit too much.
I think
but
that hurt, but I also want to like give kudos where kudos are due. Like the English, they love that, don't they?
Yeah, and also in general, you see that the potential of the backs, and we didn't see Ragusi this season, for example. Ragusi, that is a player that I have no idea.
Yeah,
but
yeah, mate, who knows? I'm excited. Like I actually think the next 2 years are like really interesting for us. I'd love to know what Quesada's doing to introduce them to the national team. But Otto, on the positive, we're on the up.
And I'm wondering, but in general, I'm wondering who's gonna go to Zebre, who's gonna go to
all of them Zebre.
All to Zebre.
I think all of them. Genuinely, if Zebre becomes, and this is the point I was making to you 2 weeks ago, Otto. If Zebre are the development team, send all of them to Zebre, all of them, and then the ones which come up, right? Fine. Either send them to France, send them abroad, send them to Benetton. Benetton pay a lot of money for them. The whole cycle continues. If they're a development team, because I don't know what the fuck development means, Otto. It doesn't mean anything to me. It's just a tick box to say that we're going to give them less money and play young players. That's all it means to me.
Yes, but hey, who knows, Mike? Let's see. Guys, do you remember the test against Argentina last autumn? Seriously, we
didn't play autumn last. We didn't play Argentina last autumn.
It never happened. Domenico, it never happened. Albornoz, maledetto, che partitone contro di noi.
Stabbed us in the back.
Sto pezzo d'asado.
Oh, interesting. Robert, interesting.
Robert knows his stuff.
He knows his shit, yeah, mate.
Oh.
Domenico, you know, it never happened, mate.
Only Georgia, because we were
there we go.
Domenico. We didn't play.
Domenico knows.
Come on, we were only Georgia played that game.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and then I think we played like 50 minutes of a New Zealand game, and then black.
Yeah,
just nothing happened after that.
Then the connection went off. It did. Playing
straight after Menucello scored.
Came, and the wind started blowing hard. Typhoon.
Yeah, 0-0 draw, right?
we draw, you see, we draw. But
right.
Mike, it was a pleasure to share another Monday together on Fratelli Rugby podcast. Of course, today we are only on YouTube, so don't forget to subscribe. And if you're listening on Spotify from tomorrow, let's see. But this guy is, my God, look. Let's put
he knows his shit.
All good. All those good players. Drago, the blonde Drago. Got stopped connection. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, but I don't know why. We probably have the same problem with connection sometimes.
Yeah. I think it affects Italian people. Maybe it's something to look at. Yeah. Listen. Maybe somewhere in France. Who knows? Let's see what's gonna happen with this guy. Because he's playing Serie A, I think, at the moment. Because we have Celi is playing in Livorno with the Serie A. Faisali's work is playing there. Milano is already at Zebre. Is another. Oh my God, Drago is playing in. I know Todaro's at Northampton, right?
Northampton. Then a lot of players. That is interesting to watch. Paese. A lot of players of Casartelli is there. Casartelli, the Admiral. Yeah. Admiral Casartelli always there, but yes, is him. Va bene. Thank you everyone to listen Fratelli di podcast and enjoy your Monday. Have a great week, everyone, and see you for Italy Ireland. We don't know review, but I'm sure we're gonna do the review game on Monday. So see you next Monday. See you in a week, Mike. Ciao, buonanotte a tutti. See you next.
Ciao.
Sigla.
Fratelli, the Rugby podcast. The Italian Rugby podcast. Fratelli, the Rugby podcast. The Italian Rugby podcast. The Italian Rugby podcast. The Italian Rugby podcast.